Hey there, Internet. It's time for the Saturday Night Rant. First thing first, out here at the shed. Before I get into anything, sometimes people don't want to watch the whole video. The last section will be kind of as a partially by request, other than the mosquitoes. And that is, the other day I was talking about Jose Alba, who is being prosecuted, as far as I'm concerned, maliciously by Manhattan's DA. He was defending himself, got pushed into the corner by a gal's boyfriend who literally came in the store to start stuff with him. No reason to do so. Had him behind the counter. He tried to leave, gets pushed back, and goes to defending himself, and he ends up taking a knife off the counter from the corner and behind some stuff, and when the guy wouldn't let him go, and stabbed him. The guy died, and apparently, you can when you watch the video, you can see this gal reaching through. I couldn't see a knife in her hand, but it's entirely possible there's a knife there. Supposedly, she stabbed him, and the prosecutor ain't even touching her. So apparently, it's illegal to be behind a counter working and not want to get stabbed and robbed. That's apparently what the DA in Manhattan thinks. That DA, he needs to go down the road. But there's a bunch of GoFundMe had a site. Of course, GoFundMe selectively will kill let's raise money for legal defense, saying it's against their policies. But I know damn well I had a friend, and they will remain nameless, whose son was accused of a crime related to the Summer of Love in 2020, and they just worded it as social justice funds. And I was gonna, when I heard the name of the person that had allegedly tried to run this guy over and sent him up over the car, I thought, oh crap, and discussed it with my wife, and we were going to contribute. And then there was a rant about how he got attacked by white supremacists, and I'd seen the other story, and if he just said, hey, there's another story, I know this stuff's getting out into the media, I would encourage you to help. We're going to give $50 because, hey, the founding fathers said, or demonstrated by their actions in even defending the British soldiers responsible for the Boston Massacre, that they believed everyone deserved an adequate legal defense. And that rant took me from being even, hey, if they'd even referenced that and said, hey, these guys believe that, I might have even given more. But as soon as I saw the rant, it pushed me away. And I decided to give nothing, and the most they got was me not saying anything about the rest of the other side of the story. And I don't know what the resolution is or will be or was. But, raising money for legal defense. They wouldn't let Kyle Rittenhouse raise money for a legal defense. And if you're looking at the black tail behind me, that is the black cat that likes to interfere with making videos. Spooky by name. What can be a more... Is it not a noble cause to raise money for legal defense? It would seem to me it was. Give, Send, Go does allow that, but there's so many Give, Send, Goes out there, I don't know which one. You gotta shoot the cat away. Which one's legit? There's at least 3 or 4 of them when I did a Google search. One looks more legit than the others, but looked like it had raised nearly what it was like. It's wanting $60,000 and was up $59,011. I'm sure it's going to cost more than that to stop a murder charge, especially because the government is unlimited in their funds if they want to go pursue it. So I would just say buyer beware and encourage you to donate if you find one. I'm a little strapped right now myself, but at least I can get word out that they are trying to raise money for this guy, and he deserves it. And then maybe we can find a different prosecutor when that guy comes up for re-election, and we can maybe do a fundraiser to unelect the DA. And his name escapes me at the moment because I do not script these. So that first things first, if you want to see the video, it's on my previous video. I have a link to the New York Post article where it actually shows the surveillance video. You can see for yourself what happened. So going on to that, let's go on to something a little more amusing, if it wasn't for the fact that the guy we're talking about is the President of the United States. This guy's senile. And quite frankly, so is the mass media, because we're past the point of you being able to say, this is what he said, and no one noticed that that wasn't what he said or what he did. Because everybody has cameras now. There's video. There's so many channels, stuff getting broadcast live, and people being able to record and catch clips of it. And sometimes even the media with that broadcast puts the video out there tries to lie about it. He's reading about his executive order regarding abortion, which I'll be getting to. Sits there, he's reading his line, and he gets there to the end. He goes, "End quote. Repeat the line." And then he goes on to the line below, and it's like, this guy is literally just reading the teleprompter word for word. He's reading the instructions. There's no reality here. It's all bullcrap. It's all an act, and this guy needs to resign and step down. There's been so many incidents. I mean, right after he became president, it's not unusual for a president to say a few words by broadcast for the Super Bowl. Okay, fine. But he said about 2 sentences and then sat there smiling while his wife did most of the talking. It just screamed this guy is losing it. And having been around a little of that, not heavy. I mean, I had one relative that I just wasn't there, but there were moments when I visited that afar, it finally became evident to me because I wasn't seeing it all the time, so I couldn't judge. And somebody else starting to lose it, say something to them, and the next day they forgot you even said it to them. Joe Biden is losing his marbles. He needs to go, and the media is completely bonkers when they think that they can say, he didn't say that, he was quoting something, that's why he said end quote. Then why do you say repeat the line? Dude, he is not capable of being president anymore. I don't want to think we should have an age limit, because I know a couple of people older than him that are sharp as a tack. Probably more on top of it than most people in their 20s. But Joe Biden is not that. He's gone. It's all the people beneath him, but they don't make the decisions. If he says, hey, we need to fire a nuke. Okay. Yeah, the Russians are launching. Yeah, we need to fire a nuke at the Chinese. The Russians are the ones attacking us. I said we got to go after China. But, Mr. President, I said nuke China. Come on, man. That's what we're going to hear. And, so it's time for him to go. So then, because it's kind of a slow one, I was like thinking, what should I talk about? A friend of mine, she and I were in a situation where we were roommates at one time. And she sends me a meme asking about Joe Biden's executive order. I said, let me get back to you when I'm not working. And so this afternoon I had to do some digging. And she knew the Roe v. Wade was overturned, but she really didn't understand. And we're just going to call her random friend M today. So M messages me and says, that she wouldn't be too keen on, if she were sexually assaulted, became pregnant with carrying the child. And so I started saying, well, let me get back to you. So the first thing I looked up was, okay, so let's all, again, we're going to say this. All Roe v. Wade did was send it back to the states to decide what that needs to be. And you really think about it, That's where we're going to find our happy medium, whether it's as far as some states like Louisiana and Kentucky, where only the mother's life is the reason an abortion can occur, or if you're going to go to the point of the psychopaths in New York, running New York. Coincidence that they allow, in New York, they allow abortion up to the moment of birth, and they stood and applauded when they legalized it, is the same state, where they prosecute a man for defending themselves. Somewhere in between there, and with us being such a large country, we're a confederated republic. We're not a democracy. That means some states are going to be different, and that's maybe a good thing, because people can, in smaller numbers, can find what that medium is. You look at Europe, which gets comparable to population and if not space, they're much more population dense. You get a wide range of abortion laws. Poland just passed something that looks a lot more like Kentucky, where it's illegal in most cases, and people are getting pretty upset. So they've got a lot of their countries are looking at us going, what's wrong with you guys? Seriously? Up to the moment of birth? And of course they've got, the Netherlands, where they start talking about post-birth abortions. So you gotta have that happy medium. So I went through. There's 9 states where, even in cases of rape, abortion is or soon will be or likely is going to be illegal in less than 15 weeks, because that was the Dobbs case. When I was going through, some of them are more 6 weeks, or some of them are conception. I just lumped all that, but would have been before the Dobbs case, together. There's another 8 that allow exceptions for rape, but not, rape, incest, mother's life, severe abnormality. There's another 2 with pre-ban, pre-Roe bans that may or may not come back into effect. That's still up there. Everything else is either by legislation, or by constitutional amendment, or by their state courts recognizing a right to an abortion under the state court, legal at least to 20 weeks, some cases all the way through. Surprisingly, Alaska is all the way through. There is no law. There's a couple states that just simply don't have any legislation on the subject, and that may be a vestige of Roe by itself. So I explained that to her. Because she sent me this thing listing all these things on a Biden meme about protecting contraception and protecting privacy and protecting access. What it really is Joe Biden going, "Hey, come on, man! I'm doing the thing about the thing about the abortions. The thing. I've taken care of the thing." And a lot of it is stuff that's already covered under HIPAA. Privacy of no one being able to know whether you got one, didn't get one, ever were pregnant, or were pregnant. Any of that is under HIPAA. Already covered. Contraception. Unless we get a weird, a state bans certain birth control pills, or the morning after pill, or a Medicaid abortion using, sometimes called a chemical abortion, but using medication, which are a lot of the same things, just in ever higher doses, same chemicals, or same drugs. Unless you get some kind of weird 10th Amendment battle between the feds and the state, probably ain't going to make a lot of difference. And we may find some nuances even in that law, where maybe the court just won't hear a state's a challenge to a state ban, or if a state ban gets struck down, a challenge won't hear an appeal to it being struck down. We may see it sit there. It might just not say, "Hey, federal government doesn't have that power," or the state doesn't have that power. We may find that under some other provision. Remember that in Clarence Thomas's concurrence, he took on substantive due process, but he's the only one that wanted to do so. And so he also said, though, some of the other rights that were found under substantive due process may be found under other provisions. So he didn't rule those out. So we may find that. Protecting access to abortion clinics. Well, if abortion is legal in the state, that's already covered by a federal law. So there's a lot of virtue signaling and hand waving, and Biden generally trying to make himself look like he's doing something when he's really not doing much anything. What part of it is to just report back options for improving access, which is kind of we're going to look at doing this to appease the people that say, open up clinics on federal land or on military bases for everybody. Things that start to possibly get into issues with what the feds can do versus what the state laws are. Because you do get some overlap of one conflicting with the other and who gets to win that battle. Because you got to remember, the states are individually sovereign. One thing I've also seen in the online is people talking about, we gotta have some sort of underground railroad so women can, or people, as those women will have to sneak from Idaho and Montana across to Washington to get an abortion in secret and then sneak back so no one knows. Generally, if you go to do something that's in another state that's not legal in your own state but is legal there, they don't have a legal leg to stand on, from my layman's understanding. It'd be kind of like somebody I knew that was working in a different state than Washington, but this wasn't legal where they were working. They went from there to either Vegas or Reno, and they happened to stop by without a plan to patronize any of the ladies that work there. I think they stopped by for a beer at some Bunny Ranch or something similar, and patronized one of the ladies. Not legal where they were before, a day before, not legal in Washington, but Washington really can't prosecute them for doing that. There are a few exceptions. Me being a hunter, if I commit a game offense in Oregon, and most especially if I illegally took something in Oregon, brought it across to Washington, you actually run across federal law and some interstate compacts, where if my hunting privileges are revoked in another state, they are revoked in Washington as well. You can't go get a license in some other state and hunt anyway. There are some of those kind of things, but those are agreements between states to honor punishments meted out effectively. And I think, as I said, there is some federal law because you get some interstate commerce issues with that. So that's not going to happen. Some people might dream of it if you're on the far end of the pro-life side. Some people might be terrified of it or using it to divide, to say, you need to come vote for us anyway if you're in the pro-abortion side. I think mysterious friend M, I think she actually falls in the traditional pro-choice, maybe one way or the other a little bit, but she's not going to be, I don't think she's real hard line, because I don't think would go for her daughter when her daughter gets old enough, because her daughter, she's still in diapers, when her daughter is old enough to be interested in boys, going out and getting an abortion without her being part of that decision. I mean, that one thing that none of us should want is a girl going out doing that and then saying, my God, what have I done? Because she saw media that shows what an abortion really is. And then saying, what have I done? And all the fallout from that. I don't wish that on any girl. Even if she did get an abortion, I don't wish all of the damage from that. And it's just better if it not happened to begin with. So that's the long and short of it for her, because I promised her I'd cover this. And then just a thought. It's not my original thought, but I'm watching Tim Pool the other night, and apparently he made a tweet that said, all the women are afraid of abortion becoming illegal, then they want to make the guns illegal, which would mean all the pro-life people controlling the government that they accuse of make it like the Handmaid's Tale would just have all the guns. Then what? well, maybe that makes some of you rethink your opposition to gun rights, because there is all of us on the right distrust the government. Maybe you should too. Anything with a stroke can be destroyed with the stroke of a pen, or created with the stroke of a pen can be destroyed with it. When you start doing it legislatively, or going through, some states are easier to amend their constitutions than others, like Washington. We're not going to get a constitutional amendment to enshrine abortion into our state constitution specifically, because you gotta have 2/3 control of the legislature. Maybe that would happen someday, but probably not. Just like you're not going to get rid of abortions. It's only legal up to 20 weeks in Washington. You're not going to be able to get rid of it in one fell swoop. You might pass a parental notification law, which I'm sorry, but if you disagree with that, you're an extremist. That is an extreme end on the pro-abortion side, because why would you not want a young person to involve their parent in that a decision of that magnitude? And so maybe you might want to rethink that. If you're afraid of The Handmaid's Tale, which is completely a caricature from the view of a far left person of what Christian conservatives are, it's not going to happen. And it really gets kind of annoying. It just makes me go, yeah, whatever, I'm going to shut down and not even listen to you. And I've seen a lot of people, including a woman I know who, she used to be on my Republican volunteer list. Back during the Obama days, Trump comes in. I think she switched her politics because of Trump to the opposite side. I don't know, maybe she always has to be contrarian, but she's not hasn't been acting like it with a far left guy like Biden, or the people using Biden as a skin suit, seem to think. Embracing all of it. They can't even, the guy couldn't even write it for where, that to make any sense. The Northeast is not the place you're going to have a theocracy, especially a Christian theocracy, or fascism, or Christo-fascism. That's not where that's going to occur. Nothing in Christianity allows for that kind of a treatment of women. You certainly wouldn't see it in the Bible Belt, because they wouldn't allow this weird handmaidens thing. I suppose maybe in certain fundamentalist LDS sects might be able to claim that, because then you could claim you're married to each of these 5 sister wives and you're making them dress that way. But then you're talking the mountain, you gotta get into those northern mountain plain states maybe. But even that's whacked out, because the main LDS church renounced polygamy. And no one's advocating for that. Only the most extreme of people would advocate for bringing back the Comstock laws. Because most of us recognize that a child not conceived is a child not murdered. So that whole mentality, it's so goofball, it makes me want to shut down. So all of you that want to post that type of thing about Handmaid's Tale, we're not in it. We're not going to be in it. You're just panicking and sounding like you're crazy. For all the rest of you, this is not the end of the world. But again, for all of us on the pro-life side, we need to be changing hearts and minds. We need to be making legislation to make it easier to adopt. We need to be willing to adopt, whether it be because we want to be parents and you can't have kids, whether it be because there are kids that need homes. People have their own reasons. I'm not going to criticize their reasons for choosing to adopt kids. I saw somebody that had switched from growing up pro-life, and they were the child given up rather than being aborted, and then changing their view, and it's almost like they're bitter about their experience as an adopted child, almost as though they feel like they would have rather not lived. And I don't know what in their experience as part of that family made them feel that way. But anyway, I got dinner to cook, and that's a Saturday Night Rant. Kind of hit about three subjects, but remember that all of the anti-gunners who are pro-abortion, become pro-gun. You probably won't have to deal with having to wear those red cloaks with the bonnet. Probably wouldn't have to. If somebody tried to make you, you could shoot back. Talk to you later.